Coach, hey, thanks for joining me today on this Simple Coach to Coach interview, one that I am super excited for, and I'll explain to you why, but I want to thank you for finally connecting and getting on the channel. Really do appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Been excited to catch up and talk some more, so thank you for having me.
So I've been thinking long and wide about how I was going to begin this. And I thought it would be a disservice to you to just do something that I don't do. So I'm going to do what I normally do, which is I'm just going to ask you, because I'm keen to hear your answer, how you think the 2023 season went. I'll just leave it there, and I will have a lot to say after that.
All right, yeah, looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that we were really happy about with the 2023 season. I think that since I've been here, the program has continued to take big strides forward. The guys have, I think, really bought into what we're trying to do and the idea that we can be very successful here. They've really taken it and ran with it. Just the work ethic, the culture, what they demand of themselves and their teammates. It just keeps growing, and that's been really exciting to see. I think that we hit a lot of the metrics that we were shooting for this year in terms of hey, number of shots on goal per game that we wanted to have. The guys had said we want to finish with at least 12 points in SCIAC, in a position higher than we had last year, which we achieved. With time to spare at the end of the season. There were some elements that were a little bittersweet because we were actually very close to sneaking into the SCIAC tournament. We had a goal ruled offside against Chapman that would have put us up 1-0. And then, we were up 2-1 against Pomona, let that one slip. Those two results are different. We're actually in fourth in the tournament. And when we told the seniors that, the look in their eyes was hard to take, but I mean, like, those seniors, again, they've done so much for the transformation of this program, and I think they were able to, after getting past that initial disappointment, realize like, hey, that group really did so much to kind of bring CalTech soccer to the next level. And they've gotten the team to the point now where, our current players heading into next year, they expect to be fighting for that tournament spot. So, even though that moment was tough, that realization for myself and for the players, overall, we feel like, we accomplished a lot. We did a lot to move ourselves in the right direction. And there's a lot of excitement. We finished up our individual player meetings a couple weeks ago, and the guys they're chomping at the bit. They can't wait for the 2024 season because they think that we can continue to take that next step.
So I'm going to go backwards then, based on
Yeah.
what you told me. How does your recruiting class look for next year?
Yeah, it's good. We're pretty happy. We feel like this is a class that will come in and help make us better right away. There are guys in there who will compete, who will get minutes, who will hopefully make an impact right away. So we have 9 players coming in to join us, and again, we feel really good about the entire group. We've got a couple strong defenders, some really good midfielders. We've got a winger who I think will come in and mix it up right away and then be able to contribute. There's lots of guys in there that I think are going to make us better. And I think that, our depth as a program has just gotten so much better, when we're kind of looking at, hey, the board and positions for next year, we have so many guys who we feel like, wow, we got to have them out there if we can. These guys are, all going to be, kind of fighting for these spots. So, the freshman class this year, the 2023s did a great job. And I expect the 24s, to come in and, be a big part of things next year too.
I'm assuming they're all smart because of where they're going, right? Like, I mean, that's a fair shake. Smarter than I, that's for certain.
Smarter than you, smarter than me too. So yeah, it's funny. I'll be out at Surf Cup or ECNL playoffs or something, and people, parents are like, "Oh, you coach at CalTech, you must be smart." I'm like, "Well, my players are, I
I
can
didn't
guarantee you
get
that."
into CalTech. I just
Yeah,
worked for CalTech. Um,
exactly.
all right, so the reason for that whole bit that started that way. So I've said probably since, well, I'm going to say mid-season because I think you kind of were on a little bit of a roll at the beginning of the
Yeah.
season, right before I think you got into the Skyac, and I should probably confirm that so I'm not like talking silliness.
No, you got it. Yeah, we started off, I think 5-1-1 on the
Five
year.
one and one, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I started saying that even if you go out, like you just don't do whatever you do the rest of the season, regardless, that you were my nomination for the D- Division 3 Coach of the Year because, and you only cemented that, by the way, as the season went on.
Well,
Um,
appreciate it.
yeah, and no problem. Yeah, I mean it's easy to pick somebody who has a great program and they do super well and they've done, like, to me the real ones are like in your case where you're taking a program, like, I've said it before, like historically it hasn't been what I think anybody has wanted, and in this single year you've basically broken, I think, every possible Caltech soccer record that you've had in the past, right? So I think you won more games. I saw a release or something like in the last 50 years, you've won more games in one season, and or something to that effect.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely a lot of really good, benchmarks, like you said, from this year. Yeah, most wins, and that the program has had in over 50 years. It's funny you mentioned records. There are a couple players on the team who have some individual records in
Yeah.
sight. We had two players this year who were tied on 11 goals, which was one short of the Caltech single season record. So they were kind of fighting each other. I know they'll both have that in their sights next year. I'm confident that both of them will break the career goal scoring record. Um, and again, it was great to see kind of those benchmarks being met this year. But again, I know the guys have higher sets for
Hmm.
higher sights set for next year. Yeah, and again, I appreciate the shout. I did watch your time your kind of storylines to watch. So
Hmm.
appreciated the shout out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to take all the credit, but I mean, I think the truth is, the group of players we have here is just, it's pretty special.
Yeah.
Especially, like we alluded to, they're also these amazing students doing other things on the side of, other side of campus. And the fact that they've kind of really dragged this program forward so much, yeah, it's a fun group to work with.
Can I ask you, because I think this is your third year, fourth year,
So, past fall, 2023 was my third season here.
third
Yeah, this
season.
upcoming fall will be the fourth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fourth. I, I'll ask, like, what do you think? I mean, you had to have done something different, right? Like, because that's the only way results change, right? Like, if you do the same thing over and over again, you're just going to get the same results. And so you had to have done something different. Is there anything that you would say, like, you really put a focus in on for these guys to respond in the way they did or have or are?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think the things that I've tried to do, number one, from the recruiting side, again, we all know Caltech's academic standards, right? We all know that, hey, there might be challenges that we face here in recruiting that other schools don't. But you always work within the reality, the cards kind of that you're dealt. And there are tremendous soccer players who are also unbelievable students, with big academic
Yeah,
aspirations. They're out there.
yeah,
So I think I owe it to the program to be putting the work in, going out, trying to find those kids, and then trying to convince them that they can be really successful here. Show them the hard work that we're putting in. And again, part of the reason that we feel so great about the incoming class is, I feel like I've put that work in, but also our assistant coach, Coach Rockney DeCoster, he's been extremely valuable and helped us. He has a lot of credit, for this incoming class. So the recruiting piece, again, kind of not making excuses, because again, if we put the work in, again, there are those tremendous soccer players who are tremendous students as well. They're out there.
yeah.
Um, then, from kind of the program side in terms of, hey, what we're doing day to day, again, I'm not going to claim to be any kind of tactical genius, Guardiola, any of this. I know what I'm doing, but I wouldn't say that that's kind of, the answer or anything. Just been trying to get the most out of the players that we have because they are really good players and they're capable of a lot, and trying to just gradually continue to raise the expectations. I think of, hey, what the commitment in the off season looks like, the amount of work that we're putting in out of season, and just getting them to understand, hey, what level of work we need to be putting in if we do have those aspirations of, for example, being a team that's in the SkyAC tournament. Um, I think that obviously meeting them where they're at of understanding that, hey, they are doing, amazing research across campus and do have, a lot being asked of them, and not coming in and just saying, hey, that stuff isn't important, because I mean, that's the reason they're at CalTech. But saying, hey, I understand there are challenges that we have to work with, but if we want to be successful, these are still the things that we have to do. That's just the reality. Even if it is more challenging for us to do because of X, Y, and Z that the guys are doing across campus.
Mm. So let me ask, what's your new definition of success? Because is it now like now you're definitely setting, because you were close. I mean, VAR, if you had VAR, right? I watched a number of your games and I thought there were times where I'm like, you needed some breaks. You know what I mean? Like, not, I don't mean like cheap breaks, but like you needed the ball to bounce your way.
Right.
And then the other thing I thought where you were, and maybe this is something you're working on, which is why I asked the recruiting question when I did, was that it
Hmm.
seemed like you need more depth, right? Like you play against, I just watched the teams that are really, you watch Occidental, right? Like
Yeah.
Occidental is a case in point, right? Like if they wanted to do line changes, play like hockey, they could do that by and large because they have a depth that a lot of teams just don't necessarily have. And I thought you guys, that was one thing where I thought, man, if you had a couple extra players, a couple three extra players, you could really
Right.
transition in games and sort of be a little bit more managed. You can manage the games a little bit better than I thought you were able to. And I hope that
Right.
didn't sound bad to you. Like,
No, 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 not
like
at all. Yeah, no, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, yeah, you look at a team like Oxy. I mean, fantastic team. Yeah, Rod did a great job this year. I think they'll be again. They lose a couple very good players. The big center back, Carp, and then fifth year center mid Joey Schwartz. But
mhm,
they'll still be very good again next
yeah,
year. And like you said, depth is definitely a piece of that. Yeah, and I think I mentioned it earlier. We feel like we're going to be a significantly deeper team next year,
yeah,
not only because we've got this strong group of nine guys coming in the 2024 class, but some of our 2023s and some of the guys who were freshmen this year, unfortunately came in, coming off an injury and maybe weren't able
yeah,
to put in the amount of work that they wanted to last summer. And those guys have been busting their butts, in non-trad this spring. So there's a lot of guys from the 2023 class as well, that I
mhm,
expect to be, bigger factors and much more capable of giving us minutes, giving us contributions, based on what we've been seeing from them this spring.
mhm. What was there a game that you guys played where you were like, this just, and again, just to level set with everybody, it's not like you guys won a national championship, but you went 6-6-4, right? Which, okay, so four of those games, if again, that luck that I was referencing earlier, right? You get two of those games. That's a 8-6-2. Like that puts you in a good, really different vibe, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, like, what was there a game that you guys had where once it was over, you're like, man, this could be a little bit, this could be the start of something special, or that you're sort of honing in as to how you want the program to go, if that made sense.
Yeah, definitely. You mean a couple highlights from the season for me? The home game against Pomona was our second SCIAC game. So we start off 3-1 in our non-conference slate. Sorry, 3-0-1, undefeated. Through non-conference, we're feeling really good. We play Oxy. best team in the SkyAC this year, and they beat us up pretty good.
Yeah.
I was extremely happy with and impressed by our guys' ability to, just 3 days later, bounce back from, hey, a disappointing start to SkyAC, and, get a 1-0 home win against Pomona, shutout in a SkyAC is always something that we're excited about. So kind of our mentality, our resilience, I think the guys have come so far in terms of their belief in themselves, even in the face of a challenge like that Oxy game. So that showed me that, hey, something is different, about this team compared to a year or two ago, where I don't know if we can recover from,
Yeah.
an initial
Yeah.
setback like that.
Yeah.
Um, and then one of the other ones for me, it was, even though it was one of those four ties that you mentioned, our final game of the season against CMS here at home, senior day. And CMS, very, very good team. I think they ended up finishing third in SkyAC, but I think they,
Mhm.
had enough talent to be right up there with Oxy. Very good team. Edward's done a good job in his first year there. Um, and we were missing our two starting center backs for that game. They both, so the SkyAC actually had an additional yellow card accumulation rule in addition to the NCAA 5. For the SkyAC, if you got 3 yellows over the course of the season, you had to miss a game.
Mhm.
Um, and so our two starting center backs, Allen and Riley, both got their third yellow card of the season against Pomona away.
Mhm.
So we were missing them for the CMS game. And, in practice, leading up to that game, we decided, hey, just based on the personnel that we have without those two guys, we're going to, we're try something different. We're going to go 3-5-2. And the guys only had 2 days worth of practice for us to
Mhm.
work on this. And that included, a freshman, Brian, stepping in who had, not played a ton, absolutely killed it. Alejandro, junior of ours, who had kind of been splitting minutes at right back, came in and played right wing back, absolutely killed it. For them to all right, we're going to try something different for them to buy in, learn that new system, and execute it really well in just 2 days, missing two
Mhm.
starters, two of our strong players, and to get tying goal with about 2-3 minutes left in the game. Again, that just really showed me, hey, this team, the mindset, the mentality that we have compared to a year or two ago. That gives me so much excitement and belief in what we can do
Mhm.
moving forward.
Yeah. 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 What was your spring like? What were you? What were you focused in on for the non-traditional?
Yeah, yeah. We finished up our non-trad only about 2 weeks ago. We do ours later, since our academic calendar's later. I thought the spring was great. The guys really worked hard, and the change this year to go from 16 to 24, and for us to be able to spread it out more was great. So we did just one practice a week in February, March, April, and then we really ramp up in May. We had our spring game, saw a lot of good things from that. We played LA Mission College, and thought the guys did a lot of the things that we were working on in practice well. But for me, the spring is always, kind of focused on three things. Can we make sure everyone's getting a lot of touches on the ball? Can we make sure that we're getting fitter? And can we make everything extremely competitive? I feel like that's what we need heading into the summer to make sure that, we kind of develop the right habits and carry those over into the summer. So, we did a lot of, hey, kind of winter stays, small sided, and we really emphasized the guy's fitness. Every single practice incorporated some element of fitness, whether that was, hey, through playing, small periods of high pressure, whether that was doing some running without the ball or, some
Mm.
SAQ elements into
Yeah.
2v2. But I think that's one of the things, again, we talk about, all right, the guys are starting to believe we can be a SkyAC tournament team. We really emphasize to them that, all right, we need to come in with the fitness level of a tournament team, because I think they'd agree that, day one of preseason last year, we probably didn't look like a tournament team.
Mhm.
And, we need to be at that level heading into 2024. Because you talked about, hey, sometimes, if those bounces go your way, like things could be different. What we've said to the guys is we want to come in at a level where we don't have to rely on every
Yeah. Yeah.
bounce, every call
Yeah.
going our way to make that happen.
Yeah. Especially late in the season, right? Like, I, the reason why you want to come in as a tournament team is not because the tournament is happening in August, but because you have to go through an entire 2 months, right? And
Yeah.
hard knocks, right? Like it's just by the end, if you're not at a physical level, at a fitness level, by the end of your 2 seasons, those bounces don't go your way,
Yeah.
not because you're not trying and you're not playing, but because there's you're just not as sharp, or you're physically tired, so you're not able to give that 100%. And because I think there's this perception, right? And I think a lot of kids believe that, like, oh, I'll just get fit through the season. And the truth of the matter is you kind of go like this, right? Like, and then it's a battle of how much do you start to collapse towards the end,
Yeah.
just from the physical wear and tear. And yeah, that's my impression. But
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that
yeah.
100%.
I'm going to go back to the recruiting piece, because when we last spoke a while ago, we talked about sort of the recruiting picture for you, and
Hmm.
right, and again, CalTech being CalTech, right? It's like same with talking to the guys at MIT, or even Johns Hopkins or Tufts, right? Like it's just a different approach. But have you been, or are you expanding your like where you're looking for those smart players who can get into Caltech? Are you going further afield to go find a kid? I don't know, I'm making it up, in Alabama, because I'm sure there's smart kids in Alabama, right? Like, are you going there to find maybe that one kid who is like meets the entire academic profile of what Caltech is looking for, but is also a great soccer player and can contribute?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think, we have tried to, get out just to a couple different areas. This summer, actually, Coach Rock, our assistant, will be going to MIT's camp. We've kind of tried to, have a little bit of a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are times where we're looking at the same kids, but last year, Coach Ken had us out to his camp. We actually just had an ID camp this weekend, where we had one of Ken's assistants from
Mm-hmm.
MIT out helping us. And Coach Rock will also be going to the Swarthmore camp. Eric
Mm-hmm.
is having us up to that,
Yeah.
which we really appreciate. And even if that's, hey, just players that might be there we've already been in touch with, but just another opportunity for us to see them in person and make that
Mm-hmm.
connection, I think is great. I mean, again, each year, and you kind of alluded to it, hey, there might be someone from who knows where. Um,
Yeah.
2023, we brought in 9 guys, and 5 of them were from the Bay Area. This year we've got 9 guys. 1 is from the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
We have, I think, 4 California guys, and then 5 guys from other states. We've got Maryland. We've got 2 PA guys,
Oh,
1
wow.
Pittsburgh, 1
Yeah.
Philly.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we do have kind of a variety coming in, and I think part of it is. Some of these players now that we're recruiting and getting from other areas, they actually knew each other. Like
Mm-hmm.
again, those 3 guys I mentioned from Pittsburgh, Philly, and Maryland, they had all played against each other, or been at camps together,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, oh, hey, Caltech's recruiting you, me too, like and they kind of
Yeah.
started to
Yeah.
get excited about the idea of playing
Yeah.
together.
I actually go back and forth. The supporter of the channel and Division Three's son. Um, he's a heart doctor, which was pretty crazy that I'm actually talking to heart doctors. But his he's doing camps. His son, they're from, I think it's Texas.
Hmm.
Goes, this is a selective student, right? Like he's academically super inclined, and he's doing camps, right? So I always say, like, you get at some level, you find that kid who is that academically special. He doesn't know borders and distances, and like his academics will go where his academics will go. And so if it
Right.
means going halfway across the country, I think that's a reality, right? Like, I think that's something to consider. And especially, look, who wouldn't want to get a degree from Caltech or MIT or wherever the case may be, right? Like these super elite schools. Like if you can get,
Hmm.
wow, it's like, and play, right? Like a good program, and I think that's a reality for a lot of folks. But um, do you I never asked this before, but I'm curious, right? Like, so you played the way you played last year. Like, are you looking to expand the way you play, or is it like you're looking at a different formation to maybe because you learned some things, or you the talent you maybe this 3-5-2 I think you mentioned, or
Yeah,
3-4-3, whatever it was that is that is that a direction now you're like, wow, if they're that receptive to it and we can do it, why not? Like, is that are you again, not only are you expanding your players, but now you're expanding that world in which these kids can play in. I don't know
right.
if that was made sense.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. And I think, that was another reason why we felt so good about that CMS game at the end of the season
Mm-hmm.
where, yeah, so we've been playing kind of 4-3-3, for the majority of the season. And then, yeah, play 3-5-2 in that CMS game. And that was, again, partially out of necessity with, some players who were out. Um, but, again, the guys took a lot of confidence from that in their ability to, do different things, play in different ways. That was really good for Coach Rock and I to see, again, just knowing now that, hey, if we are asking them to do different things, try something different, we have full confidence in their, not only kind of mindset, to be open to it, but their ability to execute it. Because again, we only had 2 days to work on that 3-5-2, and the guys killed it. And so, yeah, I think it just gives, us as a coaching staff and the players the confidence to, hey, if we do decide that we need to adjust, whether that's, mid game, whether
Mm-hmm.
that's, all right, ahead of a certain game against a certain opponent based on what they do, of knowing, hey, we have the flexibility, we have the ability, yeah, to play in different ways if that's what's going to be best for us. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we'll see at the beginning of the season, right? I head into every preseason, pretty open minded based on, hey, we get the first years here, we get the returners, see what strides they've made, maybe from the get go, we're doing something different,
Mm-hmm.
depending on how we feel like we can get our best group out there.
Aside from the Sky Act, right? Like, do you have any good? Have you? Not that I think it matters as much now. The strength of schedule thing. Are you looking to compete against other teams, higher level teams, stronger schedule? Like I said, not sure that that matters as much as it did last year because of the whole
Right.
pairwise thing. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I watched your chat with Coach Bianco about that.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I think it's really exciting for us. So last year we were able to go up to Oregon, play a couple teams from the Northwest
yeah.
Conference. We're able to travel probably every other year. This year we're really excited. We've got two great schools, D3 schools coming to play us. It's challenging for us because really D3 it's the SCIAC,
Yeah, yeah,
and then you've got UC Santa Cruz
yeah,
up there.
yeah.
But we're really excited. So Albion from Michigan is coming out to play us
Wow.
on opening weekend, and then Swarthmore is coming out. That was something that Eric, Rod from Oxy, because Swarthmore's coming to play
Oh, they're
Oxy.
gonna. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That
Yeah,
makes
so they'll
sense.
they'll play Oxy on Friday and then us on
Yeah.
Sunday. Yeah, and that'll be great. I mean, I think like you said, playing against other really good D3 teams is just always a good thing for us. I think it's also great. Hey, playing another fantastic academic school like Swarthmore, where our freshman coming in from Philadelphia, his best friend's going to play at Swarthmore,
Ah,
and so that'll kind of be fun to
yeah,
have that
yeah, yeah.
connection. So yeah, those are two games that we're really excited and really appreciate Eric and Witsa coming out,
Mm-hmm.
so that we can get some great games on the schedule.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's I always forget you being out in Cali. Like you're, I don't want to say it's slim pickings, but in Division Three, it kind of is, unless you're in the
Right.
SCIAC or yeah, Santa Cruz, because they're what UAA,
So they're, I think they're C to
coast to
C, coast.
coast,
Yeah,
coast to
yeah,
coast,
yeah,
coast. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I can, and unless you're willing to hit the road down to Texas or go to Colorado to play Colorado College, I think you're limited, right? And the
right.
Pacific Northwest, obviously, but
Hmm.
um, so as a snapshot right now, you got to be feeling good, no? Like, I mean, just overall, like you just feel. I'm gonna guess like you're feeling a certain bit of momentum like going into 2024, coming out of 2023. I'm going to say not 2023 because I got to believe it's been 3 years in the making, right? Like,
Right. Yeah, no, we definitely feel good about where we're at. What we've kind of reminded the guys consistently throughout the spring, because again, they were working really hard all spring. We were happy with what we saw, but we also know, hey, there's still a lot of progress that needs to be made if we do want to, be a legitimate, SCIAC
Mhm.
tournament team. Again, we were very close to making that happen this year, but again, we've been emphasizing to the guys, hey, we want to come in at a level where, again, we don't need every bounce to go our
Yeah,
way
yeah,
to really be in contention for that. So, yeah, we feel really good. Again, I was really encouraged by what I saw from the guys this spring, and the fact that, they have that belief now. And I think that that belief is going to lead to, a good work ethic over the summer. I'm confident that we're going to come in a higher level because the guys have higher expectations of themselves and realize that if we're going to uphold those expectations, that we got to put the work in this summer to make it happen. Um, I think we'll be right there. The SCIAC is really tough, and I basically expect every single team next year to be
yeah,
someone who could work their way into the tournament.
yeah,
Um, I don't think there's really any team in this conference who won't give you a big challenge. But
yeah.
we feel like yeah, we can be right there if we do the right things.
The yeah, I think just looking at the SkyAC, I don't think no one's gonna roll over for you at this point.
No.
I think they're gonna make you work for everything. Um, I, what what this might be like the Sports Illustrated cover, like the doom, like bad karma. But what worries you?
Well, I think what we just alluded to, right? That
Mm-hmm.
really every team in the SkyAC, like you head into every game knowing you've got to be at your highest level.
Yeah,
There's a lot of talented players in this conference, and there's a lot of good coaches in this conference. And so just knowing that, hey, we feel like we have improved a lot, and that we're trying to step up our game. But knowing that every single other team in the conference is doing the same thing. Um, I think that's you know probably front of mind in terms of you talk
mm-hmm.
about potential worries. Um, yeah, again, we just need to make sure that we get everything right. I have a lot of confidence in in our upperclassmen, to help set a good tone. Because hey, we've got 9 freshmen coming in, all with a lot of talent. You always want to make sure that things go smoothly in terms of integrating those guys. Sometimes that can present a challenge, but I feel like the 9 guys coming in addition to being good soccer players, they've got good personalities, and I think that our upperclassmen have really, turned into some good leaders for us. So that's not something I'm as worried about because I feel like they'll set the right tone for those younger
Yeah, yeah.
guys.
All right, my last question for you, and now I'm like legit curious because, like I said, I hope been able to convey like how much of a leap forward you guys have done. Just historically,
Yeah,
and you could like what's even this is a boss question. Like, how psyched is your boss? Like, how's the reception been within the athletics department to see a program come this far in such a short period of time? And yeah, yeah,
yeah.
I'm curious.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's great. The department here is awesome, and I think one thing I would say is our team is not the only one that has made some big strides in the last couple of
Hmm.
years. Like other teams here are doing some really impressive things as well.
Hmm.
Watching like the swim and the track team break so many school records this year was
Hmm.
awesome. Yeah, women's basketball. Having done quite well this year, and there's so many other good coaches in the department that are doing good things. And I think we do all celebrate each other's successes, which is fun. Um, and yeah, our athletic director, Betsy, I think she is really excited because, she's been here, what, maybe 12 or so years. And, you talk about kind of the history of Caltech athletics, like a lot of that growth, I think, has happened during her time here. And so now, kind of all of us as a department are starting to feel like, hey, now we're to that point where we're starting to see, kind of um, the rewards for all the hard work that, coaches and teams have been putting in.
Well, I'm just going to tell you because I'll talk to anybody, but you could tell your athletic or your boss that I'm gonna ping her because I would love to talk to her. I'm so into the like. I work in corporate America and see a lot of destruction and like tearing down and knives being thrown, and so I love to see people build. Like that to me is the most exciting thing. So when I
Yeah.
see somebody, and it could be just as a successful department taking it even more success, right? I love that process. And so there's usually somebody who's a catalyst for that, right? Like you're not going to succeed unless you have somebody who's pushing you to succeed and what's in that person's motivation. So tell her I am going to reach out, and that if she doesn't respond to SimpleCoach, I will, yeah, yeah, I'll still talk to you. Like it doesn't matter. Like I'm still a
Yeah.
fan. I'm still a fan.
Yeah.
Anyhow, hey, I do appreciate this a lot. Thank you for coming on. Like I said, I was been cheerleading for you guys for since I've been watching, and we talked, and I wish you the success. I will say, and I'll put this stake in the ground. You win 10 games next year, you're going to be my 2024 Division 3 National Coach of the Year, because
All right.
I think that's pretty monumental. And then after that, then you got to compete like everybody else. But
All right. All right.
is that fair? Is that a
I think I think
fair?
that's fair. Yeah. Yeah. No, again, I really appreciate, not only the support, but yeah, having me on again to chat. Always enjoy these conversations. And yeah, again, I think we are primed for a good season. So, a lot of confidence in the guys, and hopefully we have some more to talk about, a year from now.
Oh, we definitely will. I come up with stuff to talk about. So win, it doesn't matter. I'll come up with it. Coach, thank you very much. Thanks again. Best to your men. Best have a great summer. Yeah, I'll be, if you need anything, give me a shout. But otherwise, I'll be watching. I'll be into what you guys are doing. So thanks a lot.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Coach.